Hi my friends, and welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you are returning. Super glad to see you all here. And it's time for another coloring blog, which I know very well. It's not exactly correct word for what I'm doing. It is more of a little journal of random clips, but there we go. But I'll start with a little bit of a coloring chat and live chat, and then we can move on to the clips. And first thing that I'm showing here before I talk about anything else is this is a new thing. It's kind of a haul. It's a book I've hunted for quite a while. It's Mythographic Voyage, although it, you can see that's not what it says, and it's because this is a Netherlands version. And the reason I have Netherlands version is because for some reason Voyage is not available anywhere here. Like I can't buy it in any of the online shops. I haven't found anyway. Possibly I could with a crazy price, but I don't want to pay crazy price. So I found this by accident on Amazon, just kind of looking around. And they only had one copy, and it was reduced to something like €8, which is a really great price for Mythographic anywhere. And it's actually published by Moose, which is the same publisher that also works with Hanna Karlsson, I think Maria Trolle, big names. And they always have fantastic papers. So when I was waiting for it, I was super excited because I thought, oh, it's going to be great. It's Mythographic, it's Voyage, I love the art. It's going to be an amazing paper. And I was wrong there. The paper is not amazing. It's if you know the mythographics that were printed in Canada since about a year ago, they were all printed in Canada, and that paper was not exactly thin, but not very thick, and did take water a little bit, but not too much. And you couldn't really put more than maybe one layer of watercolor down. And this is worse. This is first. It's the paper is, I think, thinner and likes water even less. Although you can kind of spread the water a little bit, but it's not great. I've done some basing here. I haven't finished anything, but I have kind of started some pages. This is Sharpies. This is Sharpies and some of those yellow. The yellow is all, I think only the sky here is Sharpies, and the lion, the petals and everything else here, I think is actually water-based markers. And yeah, but the art is just as lovely as ever, and the paper isn't now desperate or anything. I just need to kind of work more with alcohol-based stuff and kind of a dry stuff, and maybe even try out like Erica Elm Colors. She does a lot of soft pastel work, and I was like, this is a media I should really kind of work more with, because you can get really nice lovely soft effects with it. And so I have kind of it's beautiful. You all know this book, hardly need me to flip it. And you can see here how much I did try kind of water-based markers, and then I put water on top of them to get this kind of a color variation and texture here. And you can see from there how much it buckled, just from that little bit. So yeah, it doesn't exactly love water, but I can actually, I'm sure I can force it some water down its throat. I'm very decisive like that. If I don't decide that I want to work with water, I will. Life for coloring update. Well, June hasn't been great. There's many things that have been going on in June. Not even, it's been very busy at work, and also it's been hot in Ireland, or for Ireland it has been hot. And anybody who says, oh, those temperatures, if it's like 26, 28, 30 degrees here, it sounds laughable to many of you, because you get way higher. Well, one of the things is that it's a different climate. It's very, very humid here. Another issue is that people are just not used to those heats here, because heat tolerance is also to do with the fact how your body is used to certain temperatures and have certain humidities and whatnot. And here in Ireland, you know, we are not used to those temperatures. And, you know, although last year's now it's been gradually, you know, creeping higher and higher, the summer temperatures, you know, global warming that apparently doesn't exist. Yeah. I don't cope with heat very well at all. I never, you know, have really. It's when I was way younger, I was kind of more fine with it, and but you know, the older I get, the worse I get with heat. I don't sleep. I'm, you know, constantly, you know, uncomfortable, and yeah, I just, you know, don't love it at all, and therefore, you know, find it very hard to kind of relax and concentrate on, you know, kind of a coloring, or, you know, all my pages this month have been, because I don't sleep and because I'm kind of muggy with heat. It seems that everything is kind of slightly uninspired, anything that I've done. So yeah, sadly, not very happy with results this month, but you know, we can't all have, you know, good months. I think last month was pretty all right for me, so can't complain that some months are not. But you know, you'll see the results next week, so I'll see what you think. And once again, you know, a lot of kind of flat coloring, because I find it easier, kind of, there's kind of a lot of whips, because I find it easier to put down flat color or just kind of a base of color than actually kind of work on finishing and detailing, because apparently that takes more brain power, which I just don't have to spare at the moment. So yeah, at the moment it's not too bad. It's actually quite tolerable temperature wise here. You know, it's cooled down a fair bit. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm going to take advantage of it as long as I can. And yeah, we'll see what the rest of the summer will bring. And hopefully it won't be very, very hot, you know, because I don't sleep, and I find it kind of, you know, it's a form of torture, as we all know, if you can't sleep. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm trying. I'm trying the best that I can, and therefore, yeah, you know, also there's been kind of, you know, there was a family funeral. One of my husband's uncles, who, you know, who was pretty close family, passed away. It wasn't a surprise, but you know, it still is, you know, something that also kind of throws you. And obviously, you know, we traveled for the funeral and so on. So yeah, it's not been particularly successful coloring month, but I still have some stuff which I've tried to, you know, kind of get done. And here I'm doing the kind of a, this is supposed to be eventually kind of white, that mane. Well, that's the idea, that I'm going to get it to look white, the mane and the beard of the dragon. And I'm trying to kind of add the color variations here. So I'm essentially working with 3 different colors. This is tricolor marker, Spectrum Noir. I love that, these markers. I actually have a spare set of them, because you can't get refills anymore for Spectrum Noir, so the spare set was the only way to go. So it has kind of a very pale kind of mauve color, kind of a pale mint, and almost white, kind of a, it's blue that is so light that it doesn't really look blue at all. And I have that one as well here, and I'm just putting down kind of variations. And yellow is here because of the lanterns, throwing light onto objects, and the most of the basing on this page, pretty much everything except the skin, which I drew down with the Ohuhu markers, and those antlers, which I used these gray semi-art. I know it says Chartoon, but if you actually look at them on Tmio, they are sold as semi-art markers. They're beautiful. It's 12 warm grays. They go in basically, you know, in nice gradient, and they have this French gray effect. I really like that specific warm gray. So I really like that set, and it was like €4. So, and the rest of it is all Sharpies. They're just a set of, I don't think if they were called pastels or kind of vintage or something like this, but it's basically one set of Sharpies that has those kind of more difficult and lighter tones in it, kind of more muted and more pastel-y. And I think you can do quite a lot of stuff with it. So I based most of the page with it, and I, you know, because it was kind of curated set as well, I think, you know, the colors work really nice together. So once I get to actually coloring it, this page will take long because there's a lot of detail, but I'm not sure it's going to be ready. I don't think it's going to be ready in June, but at least, you know, I'm working on it and I'm enjoying working on it. But yeah, you know, hopefully eventually it's going to be, I think, a nice page, you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Okay, so let's move on to the clips. I've talked already 12 minutes without showing you anything of interest. I don't think. So let's move on, and this time there's like very random. There's some swatching, some, you know, kind of a little testing out materials. There's some kind of a fixing boo-boos. And how to create white fur or feathers, and kind of I'm showing you some of my old, very old and very pitiful drawings, and so on. So hopefully you will find something that is interesting or fun for you, and happy watching. So I did mention in one of my videos that long time ago I did attempt to do a little bit of drawing occasionally. And I was like, oh, if you want me to show you, I can, just don't get your hopes up. And of course people said, yeah, we want to see. And I honestly have to warn you, you know, like I actually meant the don't get the hopes up bit, because situation isn't great. Firstly, most of, I did have more of the little sketchbooks with bits and pieces here and there. I don't really have a full sketchbook or anything, but, you know, I had several on-the-go things. But most of them, or my kids have eventually gotten them and filled them with their own stuff, and they're long gone. So I managed to find these two, and even these, I think, kind of, I suspect have more my kid stuff in it than mine. So, you know, that would be very typical. So this is, I think it's one of my oldest ones. It's actually a very nice sketchbook. It's by Dale and Growney. It has nice paper, although this paper, I remember, didn't have much of a sizing, so anything water-based here wasn't fun. And, you know, this is typical. It's full of my kid stuff. What is here? You know, this is the sample of how bad I am at drawing patterns. And when people say, oh, it's nothing, you know, I just relax and do things. And I do try, honestly, I do, but this is how bad they look. The coloring, I think, wasn't done by me. I just did the outlines, and I think at some stage when I was someplace with my daughter, and we were waiting for something and she was bored out of her head, I gave her pretty much, I think I had some felted pens in the bag, and she colored this. Then, well, Pokemon. That was my kids' thing. Like, they were both big into Pokemon, so they asked me constantly to draw Pokemon. And, you know, I went and tried to copy from some. Most of my stuff is exactly that. I just copy, you know, a drawing or something from somewhere. You know, I have no training whatsoever and not a clue what I'm doing. But, you know, if my kids ask me to draw Lucario, I will figure it out. I think those were all colored with Inktense, the Pokemon. At least the ones here. Oh, there we go. I think it's Haunter, or is it Mega Haunter? Well, yeah. Okay, you know, if you're not into Pokemon, I have played quite a lot Pokemon Go with them, but they're actually into kind of properly, you know, proper Pokemon games and into the lore, and they know all that different evolutions and different kind of stages and regions, and which I don't have a clue about. So it's all Pokemon here in the beginning, and because they wanted them, you know, drawn and colored, you know, so I did draw and color them quickly. This is one that is still not colored. Was that Bonita or was it Rapidash? No. Yeah, don't know. Another one attempt to kind of do some sort of a frame or pattern, and they are like, I have no talent or hand for it. They just come up awful, wonky looking, just weird. Yeah, I just, you know, I don't have that hand or mind to do good pattern. Doesn't work. And obviously I have also used this page for swatching, but look, some alcohol markers. Oh, this is my son when he was young. I copied that from well, I had a photo of him, so I just drew off the photo. This is just regular pencil, nothing else, just soft pencils. I think it might have been don't remember exactly what softness pencil, but it was kind of, you know, pencil work. I actually enjoy it. I should have done more kind of pencil drawings like this. I really enjoyed doing them. This is unfinished, of course. It's kind of a typical, you know, that I started something and then kind of, they were also always kind of this distraction thing. This, at some stage I was enjoying doing a bit of mixed media, so there's a lot of things layered here, different paints, and I think there was even some chalk pastels and stuff and sprayed, and then again something added, so there's loads of texture which you can't see and feel, but it is there. But this was kind of a fail for me. I didn't like this background, so I didn't do anything with it. This is another kind of one of those mixed media things. It's acrylic paints, and there's loads of different kind of papers and paints and inks underneath, and then there's acrylic paint. This is done with acrylic paint, and then some pens, and I think some Poscals and stuff like that on top. So grumpy is new perky is what the bear is saying. This is another kind of a textured background where I meant to paint something but never did. Another pattern fail. One tries. Never really worked. And there's not much else here. Oh yeah, this is just one of those drawings that I just kind of I drew off something and I felt like doing something cartoony, and so I found something on internet and I drew it off there, and I kind of colored it in with watercolor from what I remember quickly. It was like really quickly. I might not even be watercolors, might be something like water-based markers or something like this. Anyway, and then it was some kind of a small piece of watercolor paper, so I just stuck it into this sketchbook so it wouldn't get lost. What else do I have here? A lot of kid stuff. There's empty pages in between, which is why I probably still have it, because I feel like, oh, there's life in this sketchbook. Maybe I'll do something else with it. A lot of kind of, and also, you know, it's kind of nice to see your kids stuff. I think that's mostly my daughter. This is Fox, is it? Yeah, that's a Fox. This is my son, pretty sure. I think somebody has tried to draw either Phoenix Fox or some of the Pokemon. Not sure. And yeah, that's, oh, that must be, I think that was my daughter, and she, you know, she was very young actually when she did that, and I thought it was pretty impressive, you know, watercolor and pencils. I think she was quite young. I thought it was a very good job. And now this is typical me, just playing with markers and discover that water-based markers pill up paper. And you can't do much blending with them, at least the way I was trying to do it. This is typical now, little floating head in the middle of the page. We just did a kind of try to figure things out. And the other one is that I still kind of have is also kind of pretty much the same story. I bring you a little bit closer because it's a little bit smaller. And it's really nice. It's a Derwent sketchbook. It's A6 size, I think, and it's kind of velvety. It feels really nice. It has the pocket at the back. It's lovely sketchbook. I still love it, so I still kind of, I'm keeping it, hopefully. This is me just quickly sketching my daughter years and years ago. This is me testing different pencils, you know, how they work on this paper. I wasn't particularly happy, actually. This is my son drawing some sort of a, he liked to do those comic strips. This is me at the kitchen island, just sketched quickly a butter dish. Oh, sorry, it wasn't in the, this is a quick sketch of a butter dish, which wasn't finished once again because I was cooking at the time and I just happened to have that in my hand. This is my son. This is no idea which one of them, possibly Aura. This is my daughter. This is just me quickly drawing a cup. That's actually all my daughter. I'm not sure if that's me or my daughter, not sure. This is me sketching a pen that was on the desk at the time. This is me drawing a random eye. This is me drawing random lips. Just, this is, oh, I think that was me trying to quickly sketch the face from the Drowned Ophelia from John Everett Millay painting, but it went really bad. The face did not come out good at all. This is me trying out textures here. There's random, just don't know. This is just me testing different things that I can kind of blend out pencils with, and also testing different white pencils, how opaque they are. This is just testing how to draw a flower, and this is oh, this is pencil work also, and kind of, I think it's, oh, testing out Brotfuner pencils, you know, how they blend on this paper. And you know, the remark is the white is anemic. This is a rabbit I drew and meant to color, but never got around to coloring, so it's still in its washi tape frame. This is Hygeia, yeah, from, I sketched it from Gustav Klimt painting, and I wanted to kind of eventually color it in because I really like the colors and the scheme in the Klimt painting, but then I kind of forgot all about it and never did anything with it, which is, you know, quite typical. This is a drawing. I drew it off from Pinterest, something, you know, I found a picture and I pretty much copied it with Color Soft and Derwent drawing, and I know that I used mineral spirits here for blending. This is, I think I printed out this little picture from DeviantArt, it seems, and did the background with pro markers and possibly some base as well. and I think there were brute force pencils on top, and I tried to kind of copy it. And yeah, and here I'm saying as well that the pencils are too transparent and wrong pencils to use on top of alcohol markers. Like, you know, they didn't have enough oomph to go on top the way I had wanted to go them on top of it. This is me also just erasable pencils. Once again, I probably had, I don't even know if I planned to color it. But it's just a sketch of a dragon, which I definitely, you know, it was copied from someplace, you know, drawing off. And then there's nothing. And at the back, this is very typical now. This is, you know, some pencil tests. That's Orla, my daughter. That's my daughter. Some of them are my daughter, some of them are not. Pretty sure that this is mine. This is, I think, Orla's. She drew that, I know that. So basically, I think we were someplace, we were kind of bored. It was some sort of a meeting or something. So we put stickers and tried to kind of copy the stickers. Me testing some blend here. And I think, you know, that's it. That's all I have in these ones. And as I said, you know, there were other ones around, but don't know where they are. Possibly, you know, they are floating around the house somewhere in the drawers or shelves, but I haven't really done big hunt for them or anything. I don't know if I'm ever going to get back into drawing, but maybe. And then I have some pages left in these sketchbooks. So there. I am still experimenting with Arts Harmonious pencils that I got fairly recently. I haven't gotten too far with them yet, but this tin is driving me nuts. I prefer, if the 72 pencils, I want the tin that has 2 layers, the long tin, if you know what I mean, which would have, I think, 36 in each layer. So when I open the tin, I can put 1 tray into the lid, 1 tray leave in the box, and I have the full set in front of me. Here, this set is kind of a smaller tin, which, you know, looks like it might be actually handy because it's a smaller kind of a footprint, but no, because you have to spread 3 the little trays out, and you know, you don't have the same easy view of the pencils, so it's essentially driving me nuts. So what I decided to do is, I have the pastel tints as well, and because they're kind of on their own in this little Castle Arts own, they came in this case, which, you know, is very handy. But if I just, you know, if it's sitting in one of my craft trolleys and I don't pick them up much, because A, I tend to forget about them, B, they're not exactly my favorite. I prefer Budful macarons to these, and Indra ones as well, but Indra ones aren't even available anymore. So I decided to combine them, or put them into the same case as the Harmonious pencils, because, you know, then I would have all the, you know, 2 of the Castle Tint sets in one handy case. And I have this case that I kind of like. I think it's 120. It was one of those cases where I essentially bought the pencils because of the case, because just buying the case with pencils worked out cheaper than buying a 120 pencil case. It's just like, sometimes things are absurd like this, but here we go. So I have started putting the Harmonious pencils in here as well, because if they are in the case like this, you can make sure that, you know, when you put them in, that the pencil names face upwards, they're easy to find, whereas much harder because they roll around and move as you put other pencils into the tin like this. So, you know, I'm constantly doing this to kind of trying to figure out which pencil is which. So into the case they go. And here we are, all done. There's Harmonious pencils, all 72 of them. And then there's at the end here the 48 Pasteltint pencils, which are now a kind of, they're both expansion palettes. They are both kind of a top-ups for regular set of pencils. So the fact that they're now together like this actually works very well for me. Also, I think they would really get cool effects if used together, the Pasteltints and Harmonious. Might try that out too, although they feel different actually with the lay down. Kind of different. But I think the Harmonious are slightly softer, probably less waxy. But you know, this is kind of, I'm still getting used to them. And here's this specific case that I like, has this little pocket. Here is all. So all the stuff like the swatch charts. I have a separate one for Harmonious ones as well on a different paper that gives me, you know, kind of slightly better idea and has some comments on it as well. And then the information booklet, which eventually will go into recycling, but you know, after I probably do the video about these pencils. But the video is still some time away because, you know, I am slow and I haven't really worked them enough to kind of give you a proper opinion. And yeah, and I also will try them combined with pastel tints and see how that works out for me. Oh, and there's a pocket here as well, which has some extra, you know, bits and pieces that were in the box. Same story, it'll probably eventually go into recycling, but I'll keep them until I'm going to make the video, and then they can go. Yep. And how I mark my pencil cases is these are key fobs. And I stick them, I kind of put them onto the zipper of the case. And if there's more than one zipper, you know, one of the zippers, obviously. And I write, you know, what is in the case to both sides. And when I store them so the kind of at the zipper side, you know, the fob side would be, usually I store them somehow propped up a bit. So I store it so the fob would be visible like that, or, you know, I can just lift it and see exactly what pencils are in the case. A while ago, I bought some Nicker poster colors, which are supposedly similar a bit to gouache, but not exactly the same. From what I understand, the Ghibli original art, is predominantly done with these paints, or possibly these. I think this might be kind of more student version, kind of poster colors, and this are like designer colors. So I thought I'm going to finally now, you know, get my act together and swatch them out. This 12 set is kind of a basic colors and 2 whites, because you need a lot of white, like in gouache, like in poster color, like in acrylics, they pretty much function the same. So because it's like thicker paint consistency, I'm just going to squeeze some drops like this onto paper, and then just quickly, you know, after doing one line, quickly spread them out to see how they cover. You know, are they very, you know, they're supposed to be pretty opaque. That's the whole point. But, you know, let's check and see what the actual story is. Okay, I've seen more opaque, but let's not lose hope. So the first color was white. The second color is lemon yellow. And for lemon yellow, that's actually good coverage. Usually, you know, the coverage is better if you mix it with white a bit anyway. You know, these colors. I'm not getting the feel of the paint yet at the moment. Oops, I just pulled off the end of my brush. And okay, this is more opaque. But yeah, I think I don't know yet how they're going to behave, you know, if you actually gonna try to paint with them. So that will probably be a bit different. Okay, this is nice and opaque now, the burnt sienna. That's beautifully opaque. But usually yellows in any set are not entirely opaque. They will become more opaque if you kind of, if you mix them with white. But this white isn't the most opaque white I've ever seen. So we'll see how this is going to work out for us. So next color is orange. The burnt sienna is beautiful and would also give beautiful skin colors if mixed up with white. So very impressed with that burnt sienna. Okay, the orange, although not super opaque, isn't very bad. Okay. Yeah, the carmine, pretty nice coverage. Yeah, there's a little bit, you know, close through, but it's not too bad. And cobalt violet, oh, that's, yeah, that's dark. That's nice, very pigmented. And I will also, of course, want to see how they dry, you know, will they dry opaque, kind of how matte they dry, how textured they dry. I didn't really change the texture coming out from tube at all. Usually for any wash type of a paint, I would put some water and kind of create this cream consistency for painting. But at the moment I'm just testing kind of pure from the tube paint. That cobalt blue isn't particularly opaque, but you know, that can be changed easily. This is a bit more opaque than cobalt blue, but not overly. This permanent green, pretty nice coverage. But I can kind of feel that there's definitely some white in that one. That's probably why. Okay, that's Viridian, nice dark. They are pigmented. Beautiful, very clean colors. It's definitely a mixing set. And you would need to add white and black to put most of them to actually get them nice and opaque. That's not really a problem. But it would be a cool set to experiment with. I'm missing kind of, I wish I had one kind of like cooler pink, something like magenta, or you know, in that range. I'd rather have that than the orange, to be honest, because I can easily mix the orange. Okay, so now we have this is now the basic color set all painted out. And now I have the kind of I have 5 tubes that I picked up that were slightly different, like designer color line, and I just picked up kind of random choice of what I felt was like interesting colors. So there's like neon pink here, and maroon, and cafe au lait, and cyanine blue, and horizon blue. So we're going to test them out. So neon pink, that is never, whoops, okay, that's has a bit of a liquid here at the top. Okay, now I got some color out of it. Okay, so let's do a bit of mixing here. All right. Still kind of wet. I'm not very impressed so far with how they come out from the tube. Are they all going to be like this, I'll do preventative work, and before I start putting them onto the paper, I'll do a bit of mixing. Okay, this one doesn't seem to have the same issue. It doesn't seem to be like water at the top. But you know, should be, and now the moment I start squeezing, I get the water. Not very impressed so far. I don't know what's going on with them. They seem to be really separating in the tubs. But these are the colors I was kind of most excited and most interested about. So if they're not going to work for me very well, I'm going to be the most sad about them. So can we get, no, it just gets more liquid out. Okay, so neon pink, got a big huge blob out of it, and it is pretty bright and not overly bright. It's actually very beautiful neon. It's more opera rose than neon almost, although opera rose is kind of neon as well, but it's beautiful. This one I never got it into the kind of proper gouache or designer paint like consistency. Feels more like thick watercolor. This one is nice, very nice coverage as well. There's clearly quite a lot of white in this one, that Cafe au lait. Beautiful tone. This would make kind of interesting palette for a page. Although I actually thought that cyanide blue would be a bit more muted than it came out from the tube. But it's pretty opaque, nice and dark, very pigmented. But they are, yeah, very wet. I don't know what to do with them. Should I try to get more of that liquid out of there, or what's the story? They seem to be all having the same problem. And that is also very opaque. Horizon blue, it's a beautiful color. Here you go. Here you can see the designer colors. I had the most issues with them, but they are kind of interesting colors, all of them. I need to kind of try and mix them up in the tubes even more and see, you know, what results I will get with them. But yeah, it's promising. I just need to play with them more and test them more to see what they're actually going to be like when working with them. I did get those paints now blend pretty alright on the paper. This is neon and maroon blended together, and this is the cyanide blue and horizon blue, and it really looks like it might give a really beautiful sky effect. But you know, of course, for that sort of a blending, you either need to do the background first and then pretty much paint over it, or you would need to put masking liquid on the elements that are kind of on this sky background. But it does look really nice. I like that horizon blue a lot. I just, you know, I am pretty sure that this paint is a bit messed up and I just can't get it into the right consistency from the tube. But you know, I'll still be able to work with it somewhat, so I'll see if I'll be able to use it in coloring books or not, or if it'll just mess up things there. Let's talk about fixing some major blunders or just accidents. Here when I was doing the background for these two swans, I had some really wet paint to achieve really kind of a dark effect behind the swans. And it was a bit of a puddle, so I forgot about the fact that the paint was very wet here on two sides. And I lifted the book and the paint seeped onto two white swans, which of course left big, dark, violet blobs of kind of stains on the swans. So I was kind of fairly taken aback and not sure if I can save it. So I tried white acrylic paint marker to fix to kind of cover to see, what would happen. And although covering it would take quite a bit of time, the way I was kind of doing the strokes of the brush marker actually looked a bit like feathers, or the effect was a bit like feathers. So I decided to try pretty much the same method almost deliberately on the other swan. Well, both swans had stains on them, so I had to fix them both. So I'm going to show you what I did to get this kind of a feather effect, which I think, is fun and a bit different, and it's not complicated at all. So, it might be something you want to try out, or it would be a good trick in your arsenal if you get some kind of a stains onto a creature that is supposed to be a white creature, a white fur. And the same kind of a method would work very well also on white fur. It doesn't have to be feathers. And basically it's kind of a saving, trying to make good from the bad situation. But I actually like the results, so sometimes accidents can be happy accidents. So the paints I'm using, let me see, there's two paints I'm using. There's Violet, it's by Rosa Gallery, and other one I'm using is Magenta Rose, and they are both from Rosa Gallery. Both beautiful paints, and what I'm doing now will look pretty awful at first. Okay, so I'm going to put down, I'm going to take Violet, and I'm going to take strong color. I'm not going to be very shy about it at all, and I'm going to put it down in kind of areas where there would be, kind of slightly darker areas. Okay, so I'm going to put it underneath here, and I'm going to put it maybe behind here. I'm going to leave a little bit of a kind of a white border there. Okay, so I'm going to do it here. I'm going to put it here, and I'm really not being shy with Violet at all. So I'm going to put a good bit of it down. Only problem now is that I might have put it down a bit too wet, so it takes too long to dry. So I might take some of the paint off with I'm touching it with dry brush. I'm going to tap it off, excess paint from the brush into the napkin here, and I'm taking the very wet paint off. And it does not have to look precise in any way, as you can see here what I'm doing. You just need to have good layer of pigment down. And for this method you really need to use something proper pigment based, like proper watercolors, not water based markers. You won't get the same effect with water based markers. You will get probably something similar, ish, but definitely not as pronounced. And now, those little fluffy feathers here, I'm just going to kind of put dark shadows behind them. And I know I said it would look, pretty awful at first, counterintuitive to put that harsh of a dark shadow down for something that is supposed to be white. But it works, that's how I did this one here. So I'm taking advantage of the fact that this paint, although Simptap is one of the more opaque acrylic brush markers, actually I think they are the most opaque ones from the ones I have anyway, or have tried. It's still not a fully opaque paint, and it will, especially if you put it on top of kind of a strong pigment-based watercolor like this, it will pick up the color from the watercolor. And thus you get, those interesting effects. And it depends, how strong or how delicate you want to go. You can, here I brought quite a lot of white back in, but you don't have to. You don't have to have, like here, it's just my choice to have dark purple, or you're not going to have purple and pink undertones. And I added a bit of yellow there as well, just for funsies. But, this is just kind of a choice and something that works with the color scheme you might have kind of chosen in my head for this image. But you can just as well have like really dark brown or gray, but shadow work like this, and then work over it, and you get more natural, probably white fur or feathers. But, I'm not looking for natural effect here. I'm looking more so kind of a fun and interesting effect. So this is why this swan has all those pink and purple, not purple, violet undertones. And I'm going to put some pink in here as well. It's just to add a bit of interest. It doesn't, you don't have to have pink here as well, but I just think it makes, color variations are good, as I have stated several times before. So, I'm putting pink in some areas, a little bit, kind of adding some bits here and there, and also kind of like shading. And after I put the pink down, I am going to leave it to dry. And now, once it is dry, I am grabbing a white brush marker. It doesn't have to be Simptap, although Simptap is the most opaque one from the ones I know and have tried. But it should be one of the liquid ink feeding ones, where you have kind of direct ink. You can shake it, there's a little ball bearing inside. And I start at the top of the swan in this instance, in tighter, smaller areas, and I start with little, tiny, very tight strokes. The smaller the area, the tighter and smaller the strokes need to be. And at first, you get brilliant white acrylic, liquid paint or ink, whatever you call it. But as you keep going on these areas that are covered already with watercolor pigment, your acrylic marker starts picking up more and more of the watercolor pigment, and you get this texture and slightly kind of colored ink. You can see that more of the texture as I go further and the area gets a bit bigger, so you get a bit of an idea how it works. And it basically is built in, like you don't need to shade or do anything. You pretty much get the effect of feathers, or if you want to make it fur, you can do that as well. You can see here I sped it up a bit, otherwise would be added for very, very long time. Although it doesn't take huge amount of time, it's still quite a long time to kind of have in this little clip video. So you can see now, as I go further on into the bigger area, my marker strokes are getting longer, so the feathers there would be longer as well. So you can see how the effect of feathers is already visible. And technically, if you wanted to have kind of more loose effect, like you can see on the right there, I have put kind of tighter little detail in with gel pen, and I will do here as well. But if you wanted kind of looser and more painterly effect, you could leave it at that, and it would look really nice. I would probably put a couple of highlights in, here and there. but yeah, mostly you can just leave it as is. And now we get to the area where there's kind of a like artist has depicted kind of a bigger feathers in her wings and tail. So I'm essentially just going over the areas that I have marked with the paint. I'm leaving the white bits white and just going over the areas that I have put the paint down. You can see here that I'm making this weird hole, kind of a area full of little holes, if you want to call it like this. So I just keep going. It won't take very long here. And this is a super easy and super relaxing method. You're just using essentially one thing, very stress-free. And I think the effect is, cool and different. And you can do it with different colors as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be white. You can do it with, any lighter color on top of darker watercolor paint. And here now I'm doing a bit differently the wing feathers than I did on the right. I'm putting in kind of longer strokes where the already white bits are, and after I put a couple of strokes in, I kind of soften the bottom of the stroke with a water brush, so you get this effect like there's feathers there. Just kind of a couple of strokes, soften them, and you kind of start from the top. The best way to go is to start from the top or start from the back and then move so the other feathers would be on top of the strokes you already put them down. So that gives you the most natural effect, the way feathers would actually sit on the body and on the wings. And you can also do that, in smaller areas. If the bigger the animal or the bigger the bird as a drawing, the more you can do of this effect. But here it only really, worked well in wings and the kind of a tail feathers. And now I'm giving a bit of extra highlights. The paint has now dried, so it's not going to pick up anything anymore from the kind of a watercolor paint that was there underneath to provide this shadowing effect. So now I'm just giving some highlights to the edges, and you can see I kind of soften the bits, the kind of the paint as I put it down immediately, because it dries very, very fast. And I do it pretty much to all of the edges of the swan. And once again, I could leave it here, in some instances I would actually like this effect purely better than I would. Oh, and here I just put down tiny bit of yellow acrylic brush marker, and I immediately totally blended it out just to give this kind of a soft yellow glow to one area of the swan, just to add interest. There is no actual, specific reason for it. I just like the effect. And now I took my Langua gel pen. It's one of the fine Langua gel pens. They, I think, come in 6-packs. And they are brilliant for this. Just kind of I'm holding the gel pen kind of slightly sideways. I'm not trying to put on very kind of even or very kind of clean lines. I'm kind of stroking paper quickly with it. So you actually get this slightly broken line deliberately. So you get more natural and interesting effect of little feathers. I am working here to fill in this chart, which is Ohuhu 320 Honolulu chromatic swatch chart. It's basically blending families, a blending, like Ohuhu markers, all 320 of them divided into kind of blending sets. And I store them on my little bamboo shelves, as I don't know which video will go up first. I store them in number order, which is just, easier to store and put back and find. But because the numbers don't really follow any understandable logic, that sort of a blending chart is kind of badly needed. So I'm sitting here and kind of figuring out and putting them down. So, you know, you can see here, they run in kind of a blending sets like this. And it will make, I think once I have it completed, it makes me use them more, because it would be easier to find quickly, you know, what I want exactly from the rack, instead of going through the whole chart of all the colors and finding, you know, putting in my head together the blending sets. I don't always use blending sets. Often I just mix colors. That's, you know, a different way of working, but it is really, really handy to have blending sets. So next color, you can see here, you know, this color here is from the red set, R240. Next color in that blending set, or blending family here, is RV350, which is red violet set. So RV350, okay, is called Crimson. Here we are. And I'm just going to put it down here. And yes, indeed, these two colors will go very well together. So it's RV350. And next color is RV330. Those actually are together or next to each other, which I actually found one set, which it seems that in the beginning, when they just started with the sets, there was no logic to how they assigned numbers. They just, you know, they had so many yellows, they just called it yellow 1, yellow 2, yellow 3, without any rhyme or reason. Whereas later on, when they already started kind of expanding their sets, for example, this blue, this set here, this has actually been created so the numbers run in sequence. So it's B290, 270, 260, 250, 220. And it's a beautiful blending set. So, but you know, these are only kind of later additions. The original ones are kind of all over the place. So I need to find now R1, which is going to be easy. Okay. And it's coral pink. So I highly suggest something like that for any marker set, really. And there's a lot of them online available. I think I got this one on Etsy. I was kind of looking for a version of it online. I couldn't really find it. And finally, I found one on Etsy. It didn't cost much now, but it will help me hugely when I actually kind of grab the markers next time, if I decide to actually do coloring fully with markers. This will be a great help, because it doesn't, it's not like Copics that it pretty much, you know, is that, or, you know, like this set here, that everything just, you know, same color, just getting lighter. But you know, it's kind of close enough situation. Or in this set, I can see already that, you know, you can kind of decide what tonality the blend is going to be by skipping something, or deciding that, you know, for example, blending out here, or RV330, I can choose to go with R1, which is warmer, or R12, which is kind of more muted version. So it gives me a lot of options. So R9 is next. And this one is lighter. And I think it would go really well with the R1. But yeah, the R12 in between kind of works as well. This is, as I said, you know, I can change the tonality of the blend a little bit by skipping some of the colors here. R190. So where is that? That's called Bougainvillea. That looks like a very, yeah, light and bright. And these indeed, you know, run very nicely in a sequence. RV270. This is fairly big, actually jump wise, you know, it's pretty big jump from this intensity to that light of a color, but it's doable. it just, you know, runs a risk of bleeding a bit on certain papers. And RV 260, that's going to be even lighter than I presume. Yes, it really is. Yeah, this runs pretty, you know, there's a bit of a skip here. You know, ideally there will be kind of one color in between, but it's totally doable, you know, if you just go back and forth or do a base with a light marker first, the paper would be already soaked. But yeah, you know, you can see this is what I'm doing now, and it's going to take me a while because I need to kind of find each marker and fill it all in. But once it's done, it's going to be a real nice little helper here in front of me. So hopefully you had something of interest in today's video, longish as it was. I have neglected this Any Day book lately a fair bit, so I decided to pick it up and do a little bit of work in it. I don't know how much I'm gonna get done, but I'm going to put some colors down, so if I have a pencil mood I can just grab it and I would already have ready base to work on. As easy as that. And the fact that I did now the chart, I thought I'll show you. It's all finished now, all 320 like this, in kind of color gradient orders. It's really helpful, not just for the color gradients, but it's because it's all on the one page. It's super easy to find things. So yeah, you know, kind of if you look for a specific type of a color, it's easy if you just, you know, kind of look at the family where it should be kind of tonality wise. So really like this thing. I find it very useful, and I think I am going to, because of that, work with my alcohol markers more now, which would be a great boon, since, you know, I do have them, so I should use them. Oh, I'm just cheerfully coloring over the corn bits here. All right. Well, it's hard to color around them anyway, you know, those small bits here, because this paper bleeds so much that even if I, you know, on here on the ground, or kind of like earth, I tried to color around them, but it just, you know, however much I tried to kind of give some space around them, I kept miscalculating, and it just bled into them anyway. So I'm probably going to have to do them with acrylic marker. So it doesn't really matter if I get things a bit even more messy here. I'll fix it later on. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your patience, if you lasted as long as this. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe so YouTube keeps offering them to you and to other people who might have the same interests and, you know, maybe would enjoy them. And thank you again very much. Hope you're having a lovely day or morning or evening or afternoon, whatever the time is in your corner of the world. And hope you have a lot of fantastic creative time, and hopefully see you soon again. Bye bye.